Welcome to the Margins to Movies podcast, where we talk books, movies, and everything in between. We're your hosts, your favorite internet bookworms. I'm Nita Key.
And I'm Della B. And before we get into today's topics, let us say that we accept tithes and offering over here in the form of likes, hypes, and subscriptions. And guess what? It's all free. So show your girls some love and give us some likes.
Yes, very good. Show your girls some love. Not just on this video, but we recently posted our movie review of The Devil Wears Prada 2, and we also did a book to movie review of The Devil Wears Prada 1.
Right.
Okay, so check those out as well. All right, so we are gathered here today to do something a little bit different. It's very, very naughty, and ratchet of us to say this, but we have a confession, okay? It is time for us to confess. Della, you ready to confess to the people?
No, I'm going to let you confess to the people. I'm going to let you, especially, I should be ashamed of myself, but go ahead, girl.
Yes, honey, these are our confessions, Usher, baby. Well, the thing is that what happened was, I'm an English teacher, and Della, tell them what you do.
I'm a middle school librarian.
Yes, and we are horribly naughty because we have not read one of the most significant books, okay, YA books, fantasy books, adventure books, basically in our lifetime. You know what I'm saying? That the people have been enjoying and consuming, okay? And there's a whole fandom dedicated to this book. And you know what? We said, we feel that we have a little situation coming up with HBO. They're about to do something. We said it's time. The time is now for us, for the first time, to read Harry Potter, okay?
That's right.
So we have started with book 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And let me tell you, we may or may not have a playlist. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? So we're going to start with this book, okay? We're going to let you know how we felt. Okay, and then we're gonna do the first movie. We've seen the movie, but we've seen it like so long ago. Do you remember when you saw the movie?
I do not. It was some years ago. I think I did a binge watch and I watched all of them before we went to Universal Studios a couple of years, maybe about 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it's actually been a really long time ago. It's probably longer than that when I actually watched them. And when I watched them, it was way past when they were in the theater and everyone was hyped and waiting for the books and talking about this. I'm talking about it was like years later when I finally watched it, right?
Yeah.
So we said, you know what, we're going to stop being ratchet and we're going to read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the first time. And that's what we have done. So we have Della the librarian who is going to start us with a summary of the book. Della, tell us about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which was published June 26, 1997. Tell us about the book.
And the author is J.K. Rowling.
Yes, we definitely should say that.
So Harry Potter, he's an orphan who was left at the doorstep of his aunt and uncle, the Dursleys. That's Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia, and they have a son, Dudley. He was left at their doorstep just as a baby because his parents were killed by the wizard named Voldemort. Harry doesn't know any of this. So they pretty much treat him bad his entire life. He lives under a cupboard under the stairs, and they treat their son, Dudley, like the king and little bad boy. But they
the king of Zamunda, honey, Dudley.
Exactly. Terrible little thing. So all of a sudden, one day, a letter comes for Harry, and Harry is like, he's all excited. He's like, oh, I've never gotten a letter. And then his Uncle Vernon is like, no, you're not going to get that letter. So then the next day, more letters come, more letters, and every day just more and more letters come for Harry. And his Uncle Vernon is so intent on him not getting these letters, they literally pick up and move to an island surrounded by water. So, but that doesn't stop
Bobby the Weaving, honey, Bobby the Weaving.
That's right, but that doesn't stop him from getting the information he needs because Hagrid, he ends up coming to the island and he ends up basically just bursting in and saying, Harry Potter, why haven't you got my letters? Why haven't you responded? So he tells Harry that he is a wizard. And Harry is like, a wizard? How could I be a wizard? So Harry's parents were wizards and they were killed by the evil Voldemort. And Harry actually was left with a little lightning bolt on his head as a baby. That's kind of like that happened to him when his parents were killed because he tried to kill Harry too, but ended up not killing Harry. So he has this famous lightning bolt. So Harry is famous all over the wizard world, but he doesn't know this. So anyway, Hagrid is there to tell him. Yes, the Muggle world. That is correct.
Muggles are non-wizards and witches.
That's correct. So Hagrid tells Harry, "You are invited to go to the school of Hogwarts. No, the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Magic, I think it's called.
The Hogwarts School of Magic, I think is what it's
Hogwarts
called.
School of Magic." And Harry is just like, "Me? I'm going to a school of magic?" He just can't believe it. So Hagrid tells him he's supposed to be at platform 9.5 a certain day, a certain time, so he can get to the school. And his
Yeah,
Uncle
after
Vernon
he
is
takes
like,
him to get his school supplies, child. His
"Oh, that's
little
right. He takes
wand
him
and his owl, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. He takes him to get his school supplies where he gets his wand, his owl, he gets everything that he's supposed to have before he gets to the school. He gets his cape, he gets everything. Does he get a cape? Yeah, he does get a cape. So
Yes, he gets a cat.
anyway, so his Aunt Petunia is kind of laughing and his Uncle Vernon's kind of laughing. Said, "There is no such thing as platform 9.5. We don't even know what to tell you." So they literally just drop him off at the station.
You're like, baby, you figure it
Yeah.
out.
So they literally just drop him at the train station and they
And they
leave.
get to running off, honey, scattering like roaches.
So Harry is trying to figure out, well, I don't see a platform 9.5. How am I going to find this train? What's going on? So all of a sudden he's looking around. He sees other kids that are going through like this wall. And so then he finally asks this family, ends up being Ron Weasley's family.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up meeting the mom. He's like, "Well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do." And she says, "Just follow what they're doing." So he does. So he pushes his little cart through the window. He ends up getting to the train on its way to Hogwarts. So on this train, this is where he initially meets Ron Weasley, and this is when he meets Hermione for the first time. So Harry, he ends up getting to Hogwarts. When they get there, finds out that they have to do something called a sorting hat to find out which house you belong to. There are 4 houses. You have Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw. Those are the 4 houses. Nita, do you have a house? Do you know what your house is?
Yes, the last time I tested, it was Slytherin, but I haven't done it recently.
Okay, and I'm House Gryffindor. Okay? So anyway, Harry finds out that he, Ron, and Hermione end up being in House Gryffindor. So this is where they ended up learning about magic, learning all things about wizardry, and they become really, really good friends. Also, when it comes time for them to learn how to ride a broomstick, Harry finds out that he's pretty much a natural at it. And he ends up being invited to play for the Quidditch team. Harry's never played Quidditch in his life. He had never heard of it, but he ends up being very, very good at it. And he ends up being the
he
one.
becomes like the youngest seeker.
Yeah, he becomes the youngest seeker who's going to
yes,
catch
ever, I
the
think.
snitch. He's going to
Yes.
catch the little snitch. And normally they don't let first year students be a part of the Quidditch team, but because he is so good, they allow this one exception. So Harry ends up playing for the Quidditch team. They end up winning a couple of them because the whole point of these houses is you want the houses to build up points. So in the past few years, House Slytherin has always won. So everybody is really rooting for Gryffindor to win the house for the have the most points to win for the year.
Yes,
So
and
anyway,
Harry and Ron and Hermione, they're all in Gryffindor, and
Yes.
their nemesis Draco and his henchmen are House Slytherin, right? So
That is
it's
correct.
possibly a competition between Harry and Draco.
That is absolutely right. Thank you, Nita.
Mhm.
So as the year continues on, so Harry realizes that someone is trying to steal a powerful magic object that's called the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay. And this stone, he finds out, can grant immortality.
Yes.
So Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they think that it is Professor Snape who is trying to steal this stone because they're thinking that he's trying to figure out how to get past the 3-headed dog and all this kind of crazy stuff that's going on. So that's what they're thinking. So they're thinking that he's plotting together with Professor Q to figure out how to get to the stone.
Basically, we find out that Harry and his friends, they're like those meddling kids, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? What's
Yes.
that cartoon? Scooby-Doo. Yeah, they're like the
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo children. Yeah, they're like those meddling kids. They're very curious, and Harry's just, wants to always know what's going on. He's very
Yep.
brave. And so they get into a lot of adventures and little minor adventures that happen that bond them, Ron and Hermione, which allows them to become friends, to get close. And then, so Harry is like, he just needs to find out more information about the Sorcerer's Stone, which they don't know at first. They just know that Hagrid and Professor Dumbledore is like what would you call him?
He's the head professor?
The principal, the headmaster,
Yeah, the headmaster.
possibly at Hogwarts. Yeah. So
And he's also one of the most powerful wizards as well.
Yes, he's one of the most powerful wizards, and he's the only wizard that Voldemort is actually afraid of, right?
Yes. Right.
So
Mhm.
yeah, they're just getting closer and everything, and so then they actually like trick Hagrid, which Hagrid baby, I don't know why they got Hagrid keeping secrets, because Hagrid said he wanted him a dragon, and he done sold the school off to Voldemort trying to get his dragon or whatever. So Harry, Hermione, and Ron kind of figure out or solve this puzzle, and then they're like, okay, we're the ones that's gonna have to go in and keep Voldemort from getting that Sorcerer's Stone and save the school.
Yeah, because Voldemort is still weak. So that's why
Yeah.
he's trying to get back to power by using that Sorcerer's Stone, and he's using Professor Q to
Mhm.
be his gateway to get all this power back. Okay.
Yes.
So after they go through all these magical little tests and obstacles, then Harry ends up finding out that it's Professor Q. He didn't know that at first. Remember, he
Yes.
initially thought it was Professor Snape. So he's kind of shocked when he walks in and he says, Professor Q, it's you. And then all of a sudden, the stutter goes away and he's just like shocked
Yes.
and
All of a
finds
sudden.
out that. And then the professor wears this like turban and he ends up taking off that turban and it's just like this horrible face. And that's Voldemort, I guess. That's
Who's
where
like
he's
a host, like sharing
yeah,
his
yeah, it's
body
really
sort
weird.
of for
Yeah, I
strength.
can't wait to see that what that looks like in the movie because they described it. It looked kind of scary to me in the book.
Yeah, yeah. So Ron
But
sacrificed himself through a game of chess so that he was not going to move forward to be the one to help Harry to save the Sorcerer's Stone.
yeah,
And then Hermione, she won her part of the puzzles they had to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. So Harry sent Hermione to get Dumbledore, and Dumbledore and Harry pretty much distracted Professor Q until Dumbledore came in, and he's the one who actually saved Harry.
yes, because Harry almost died. But
Yes.
what also saved Harry was the fact that he had his mother's love in him, and that is what helped him to survive being killed by Professor Q. So, in any way, the book ends with House Gryffindor ends up winning that year because Professor Dumbledore ends up awarding them some extra points at the end. Everybody thought Slytherin was going to win again, but because of these extra points that House Gryffindor got, they ended up winning. So, Harry is a hero again. Everybody's happy. So at the end of the school year, it's time for everybody to leave. Harry has to go back to the Dursleys,
Mhm.
and the rest of them all go home. And
Yes,
that's
it's
pretty
very
much the first book. Anything else you want to add to that little summary, Nita?
No, let's actually go ahead and get into our hits and misses. So, in terms of my hits for Harry Potter, I really enjoy for me, it's like as an English teacher, I always want to model reading for my students. It's something I can read in front of my students, it's YA, it's child appropriate. And it's not one of those books that's just like it's so juicy. Like I'm gonna stay up all night reading it, like the child, like the book I was reading last night, honey. Couldn't even sleep. But drop a comment if you want to know about that one, okay? But anyway, it wasn't that type of, oh, I gotta, go ahead and finish it. But I can pace myself and just read it while I'm reading with my students. And I thought it was great for that. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed the world building. I was very intrigued in
Yes.
Harry's, world. And the author really had two worlds going on, the world of the muggles and the worlds of the wizards and witches, right? So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the action. It seemed like every chapter something was happening or there was some type of revelation, something we found out. Because it's a lot that Harry doesn't know about himself. It's a lot he doesn't know about his parents because his aunt and uncle didn't tell him a lot about his parents,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So, as the book is unfolding, he's finding out these things and he's gifted by Dumbledore this invisibility cloak, which makes him invisible and causes him getting a little bit of trouble, but it also helps him as well. And we learned that it was from his father. So
Yeah.
I like that we're finding out more about him as a character. I really like the character development. Harry is a very compelling protagonist.
Yeah.
You really feel for him, the boy in the cupboard, you know what I'm saying? And then he
Yeah.
goes to school and he's famous, right? And he starts to feel like he belongs, he has a place in the world in this Hogwarts. And towards the end, I was like, "Oh, he has to go back with those horrible
I know.
Dursleys, honey, and that
I know.
horrible little, piggy boy Dudley, honey." But I really like how at the end, the author says that, "Oh, well, they know that he's a magician, but they don't know that he can't use his magic during the summer. So
Yeah.
he's what? Imma have a good old time playing with them," right? So I really like that, and also Another hit. I like the plot twist. I actually watched a movie a long time ago and I was reading and I was like, Professor Snape is the antagonist. But I was like, I thought Professor Snape was Team Harry. Like, I was really
Yeah.
confused. And Professor Quirrell, or whatever, how
Yeah.
you pronounce it now, we just call him Professor Q or whatever. Professor Q, I wasn't even suspecting him, baby. I had forgot
I
all about
know.
his treachery, okay? So I
Me
thought the
too.
plot twist was really well done. And I think that Voldemort is a compelling antagonist, right? Because
Yes.
just like you need a compelling protagonist, you need a compelling antagonist as well. What about you?
Yes.
What were your hits?
Oh, everything you said, I would agree with. I like the fact that Harry, even though he was treated badly, he was still a kind-hearted little boy.
He
And I
was.
like that about him. And I thought the friendship trio really worked because he never had anybody who was his friend. So
Yeah,
for him to meet Hermione and Ron, I was glad to see him meet some friends. And I thought that little trio worked really good. And I
yeah.
agree with you the way every chapter is like the mystery keeps opening up and it's more things
Mm-hmm,
keep happening. So I really thought that kept the book moving along. And
mm-hmm.
then I also think that it has a lot of middle school kid appeal, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So, it has the drama, the friendship, the humor, the mystery, the
The
mischief.
Wizards, the
Yeah,
Wands.
yeah. So it has a whole lot of that that's very appealing to middle school kids. So I can definitely, see why this was such a popular book with middle kids. And I'm thinking that with this new series that's going to come out in December, it's pretty much going to grab a whole new generation of kids. We'll see.
Yes, we will. Now, let's talk about misses,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
So, my misses for this book, well, it was a lot of characters. You might not be
Yeah.
able to see this, but
Oh
I have
God.
like 7 pages of notes. They're front and back, so it's probably like 14, I guess, 13 and a half
Woo!
pages of notes. It was a lot of characters, and I had to try
Yes.
to keep them straight because I'm like, oh, wait, who was that again? Or who was
Yes.
that again? And I was having to go back and check. So, I feel that while the character development is strong, it's also a lot of characters to remember and to keep up with, okay? So I
Yes.
didn't love that, and also, the title of the book is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I felt like it took a while to even say Sorcerer's Stone, right? So
Yeah.
the author, she introduced in the beginning that Harry, when he was going to buy his school supplies with Hagrid, that Hagrid went to get something out of the vault that what were those little things called?
I can see them, but I can't think of what they're called. What are those things called?
They are called, are they trolls?
Trolls.
Were they trolls?
I
I don't know what they
Yeah,
call.
they weren't
Goblins?
dwarfs.
Oh, Goblin Bank. Yeah.
Goblin.
Yeah. So he went to the little Goblin Bank and he actually got the Sorcerer's Stone. So the author was like planting the seeds early, but it was a while before I was like, oh yeah, the Sorcerer's Stone. That's why we here. So I felt like it took a while to get there. Like, oh, okay, girl. All right, this is what we doing. We figuring out the mystery of the Sorcerer's Stone. But that was it. What about you? You have any
I
misses?
kind of didn't have a lot either as well. And I read the book a long, 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 long time ago to my
Mm-hmm.
sons. And once we got the second book, they were, well, we're done with Harry Potter, but they were
Oh,
boys.
you did read the first book. You have me lying to the people.
Long. I literally didn't even remember it. That's how
Mm,
long ago I read it. I didn't, some of it I remembered, Harry Potter, that kind of things, but I didn't remember the plot of the story. So I agree with you on everything. I don't really have any misses. At the beginning, I thought it was maybe a little slow with the
mhm,
Dursleys. I don't know, maybe
yeah,
maybe a little bit missed there. Some of the magic stuff was a little fuzzy. I didn't
mhm,
understand some of that. Maybe it'll come clearer in future books or maybe in the movie
yeah,
when you see it come to life. Maybe I don't know.
mhm.
That's pretty much all I can think of that with the misses for me. I didn't have a lot of misses. I thought it was
Okay.
very exciting adventure for kids. And
Mhm.
again, I can see why they would be attracted to it with all the mischief and all the stuff going on in the story.
Yes, lots and lots of action, I would say.
Yes.
All right, so let's get to our ratings.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, so I will go first. I am rating Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone a must read.
Hmm.
Okay. It's a must read for, YA, for, fantasy adventure. You know what I'm saying? I think for younger kids, it's definitely a must read. If you're an older person and you like YA, then definitely get into it as well. But I think for the genre and for the target audience, it's definitely a must read. Read it, encourage your kids to read it to them. Yes, it's a must read. How do you rate Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone?
I agree with Nita all the way. I also have rated it a must read as well, especially as a librarian, knowing how much these kids love it. I want to understand the story as well. And with this new series coming out in December, it's good if you kind of understand what's going on in the book, you know the story, so that you can see what your kids are watching, what they're getting into. Because unfortunately, believe it or not, there are some places in this country that have banned Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because
and
of
and it's actual. I'm like, what is the reason for banning it? I'm like, it's
the
middle
wizardry.
school.
They're saying that's witchcraft and
wizardry.
That's why.
Witchcraft.
That's what they say. That's
So
why.
that's why
they're
gonna try these spells.
You don't even understand the spells, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get rid of the fantasy genre. My God, today.
I know. No, I agree with you.
God.
But
like,
definitely a must read. Definitely a must read. Put
good.
this one on your list to read the book. Make sure that way you know, and you can read it with your kids or your grandkids or whatever, and then you guys can watch the series together. I think it would be a great experience for you to do. You know, either alone, just because you want to read Harry Potter. Maybe you want to become a big Harry Potter fan, because there are millions of Harry Potter fans out there. And I hope none of my middle school librarian friends see this, because they're gonna say, you have never read Harry Potter.
Look, don't judge. Don't come around here with your judgments, okay? We rectifying the situation.
Yeah, because the librarians I work with, they are huge Harry Potter fans. So
Yeah.
I definitely think this is a must read. Definitely read Harry Potter.
I think so too. Now, let me tell you, we're going to watch the first movie, and if we get into that second book and we are like, you know what, abort mission, there will not be a Harry Potter playlist, okay? So we'll just let you know now, okay? We're not going to torture ourselves for anybody.
Exactly.
All right. So, Della, anything else you want to say to the people?
I have nothing else to add. What about you, Nita?
No, that's all from me. So that's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please like, hype, comment, subscribe, share. Okay, show the video some love. Also, you can find us on TikTok. Okay, we on TikTok. Okay, we be in the Instagram streets, honey. We out here. All right. So find us and follow us, Della B.
And until next time, we will meet you.
You want to say that?
I didn't know where I was going. Yeah. All right. So until next time, we will meet you.
Hold on. I feel like a hot flash coming.
Uh-oh.
I really do.
Cool it off.
Okay. I'm not gonna pull my fan out.
Okay. All right. So until next time, we will meet you
between the margins and the movies. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Take care.